Most people don't actually read very much, and more importantly, they don't actually do anything with what they read. I've been guilty of this. I went back to see my parents just a month or so ago, and I found a box that had books that I had bought in the 1970s. And there was a copy of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the greatest self-improvement books of all time. I read it in 1976 because on the inside cover it said, Joe Vitale, 1976. I signed that copy of the book. And apparently, I didn't do any of the exercises. I didn't actually study the book. I didn't actually implement the book because for the next 10 years, I was broke. Now that I know that when you buy a self-improvement book, you're supposed to read it, use it, and keep going back to it. When you do, that's when you have success. That's when you have improvement. But even I, 1976, I said I read the book, but I didn't use it.
I keep meeting people and I talk to them about the secret and the law of attraction and the topic which is very popular in Poland, at least among certain people, but it is popular. But when I talk to people, it seems to me that for most of them, the only idea which they take from the book is if you want something and you dream about it, it will come. Okay? That's it. No steps, no routines, no
work,
no action.
That's right. No work and no action. But that's not the way life works.
No, it's not. But
no, I tell people that, and this is something Jack Canfield, one of my friends and another author in the movie The Secret, he says in the phrase the law of attraction, the word action is in attraction. And I wrote the entire book, The Attractor Factor, about the law of attraction, saying that there's 5 steps. These are steps you have to do. Now, certainly, the mind is powerful, and you can sit and you can relax and you can visualize, and you will have an impact on the world. But we are supposed to co-create our reality. Co meaning me and the rest of the world working together. So I have to get off my butt and do something. So that has to be inspired. I have a whole book called Inspired Marketing, which talks about inspired action. And of course, action is part of the law of attraction. You have to do it. All of us are lazy, though. We don't want to work. But the reality is, if you want the results you've been dreaming about, you do have to work.
You are one of the very few people I know who are interested and who are experts in such apparently different fields, like internet marketing and zero limits, Ho'oponopono, and everything in between what connects those two topics.
Well, I call myself a spiritual marketer, or a metaphysical marketer, if you will, because I have a foot in the spiritual world and I have a foot in the marketing world. And I think putting them both together is what ends up creating so many results. I've written 51 books so far. I am in about 15 movies. I am traveling all over the world, speaking and so forth. I'm able to do this is because I am a spiritual being taking action in the real world. As long as I do both of those, I can accomplish a lot, be very happy, be very wealthy, be very healthy, and all works. But this isn't just me. This works for you, as you know. It works for anybody else that would apply this.
Because that's one of the things I really like about your work. The first time I heard of you or heard your name was through Mark Joyner's site that started all this, and I did all what you wrote about, and it gave me results, like good marketing results. I changed my marketing. I changed the content of my website. I rewrote everything I wrote before about my courses and trainings and seminars, and instantly it worked.
But you took action.
I took action. Well, I was already taking action because I had my business. I was advertising. I just implemented the knowledge you were selling, and then I bought a few more books. But then you sent another email about
me and my emails.
Spiritual marketing. I got that one too, and I read it and said, well, this is far out. because my parents are scientists, and I grew up surrounded by test tubes and microscopes, and all those beliefs like, if it's such a good idea for business, how come everybody else is not doing it yet? We can't be the first. So that was far out, the whole idea. But then I thought, well, everything worked so far, everything Joe said worked so far, well, I'll give it a try. And I did, and it worked. So then I got involved, interested, and I found out there was more to it. And also it nicely fit my previous experiences. And that's how it started for me. And I think for many people as well.
Well, the book Spiritual Marketing changed my life as well as a lot of other people's. That's the book that became The Attractor Factor. I just retitled it, rewrote it, expanded it, and it became The Attractor Factor. And that book is hands down my #1 bestseller out of everything I've ever written. It is the book that got me into the movie The Secret. I was invited to be in the movie because of that book. And the interesting side note is that I did not want to release the book to the public, because I was afraid of the very thoughts you were having initially, that this was too far out there. That people are going to look at me and go, this guy is a little crazy. He's what we would call
That's
in
what I thought.
States, woo-woo. Well, crazy can be good and crazy can be bad. But I was afraid that people would judge me harshly and negatively and not buy anything after that. And to my surprise, they loved it. And when I think about all the lives that were changed as a result of it, I now understand that that was important for me to get out, not just for my career, but for all of these millions of people who are reading the book. I also want to point out that you were raised by scientists, and you had test tubes all around you. And you said when you were reading Spiritual Marketing that you actually said you would try it.
Yeah.
Isn't that what a scientist does?
Yeah.
And then you said it worked, which is the results that the scientist would say it does work or it doesn't work, depending on what they did. And so as even a scientist, you found that the metaphysical, the spiritual would work when you implemented the steps. So I'm just highlighting that to show that these are all practical. They're not just spirituality. These are not just feel-good ideas. They are if you only read them. But if you read them and take action, now it's proven in your own life.
There is another topic I would like to talk about is beliefs. And one of the Poland is one of the countries I've lived in, and this belief is very common here. It's actually it's more than belief. It's either or mentality. Like you can be either spiritual or materialistic. You can either go for care for money or for spiritual development. You can be either rich or good. And there is a very common sentence in many families. Maybe we are not rich, but we are honest.
Yes.
What would you say to people who think like this and who think those thoughts when they come across law of attraction or spiritual marketing?
That's a wonderful question. You know, everybody has beliefs, but there's also cultural beliefs. And what you're talking about are shared beliefs by a population. And once they realize that it's a belief and not a fact, they can start to separate from it and understand that they have a choice. Do they want to continue believing it, or do they want to believe something more empowering? For example, I know that the spiritual and the material are two sides of the same coin. They're not separate. You don't have just the spiritual world over here and just the material world over here. When you realize that the material world is the concrete form of the spiritual world, then you're starting to go in the level of awakening or enlightenment. You're starting to realize that you can have it all. Now, when you first hear this for the first time, you might think, oh, that's nuts. That's not possible. That's not what I've thought all this time. But I've said it in most of my books. We live in a belief-driven universe. Change your beliefs and you have a different universe. You can still live in Poland. You can still live wherever you're at, but you'll have a different experience of reality. It'll be a happier one, a wealthier one, a healthier one when you change your beliefs about it. So I would take any one of the beliefs you just mentioned, and one of them can be that you can't be spiritual and you can't be, or material, you have to be either or even the line that you said about we may not be wealthy, but at least we're honest.
Yeah.
That is something the media teaches us. That is in many movies. There's a famous movie, Spider-Man, which I'm assuming has been aired over here. And there's one scene where the father's telling the son that we may not be rich, we may not have it all, but at least we're honest. That's delivering the message of a programming to us, that in order for us to be honest, we can't be rich. Well, that's not reality. That's not a fact. That's a belief. So the more we look at any of these beliefs and question them, the more we can be free, whether it's in Poland or in America or any place else. People still have a love-hate relationship with money, for example. And they'll say, I want money or I need money. And they need it because they want to pay bills, they have to pay for medical expenses, they have to pay groceries, rent, whatever it happens to be. But unconsciously, they have this thought that money's bad, money is evil, rich people are greedy. So they try to use the law of attraction, and they're saying, okay, I'm going to attract money consciously. But unconsciously, they're saying, keep it away, and it's bad, it's evil, don't let it into my life. They have to become aware of all this. They have to understand that money's actually neutral. Money doesn't mean anything by itself. It's paper, ink, coin, whatever you happen to agree that it is. But it's a useful tool to get a lot of good things done. Marketing. A lot of people don't like marketing. They'll say it's manipulation. And I'll say, oh, marketing, that is sharing your love for your product or service to the people who will most welcome hearing about it. That is doing a great service to humanity. When you are manipulating people, that's when you're trying to sell something you don't really believe in. If you have a product or service you don't believe in and you're trying to manipulate people to buy it, that's in the negative side. But if you have a product or service, like I believe in my books, so I have a product or service I believe in, and I tell the world, as I'm doing right now, I'll let people film me as I talk about it. Why? Because I'm excited, because I believe in it, and I know this will make a difference to the people who welcome it and buy it. So you have to understand there's a lot of work to do to deprogram the mind that has been programmed to think in a limited way.